More cup action today. It was the first leg Carabao Cup semi-final. The original clash between Liverpool and Arsenal postponed due to a COVID outbreak, but it finished 0-0, even though Granit Xhaka was sent off in the 24th minute. 10-man Arsenal keeping Liverpool out to bring the tie back to the Emirates for the second leg next week, as we now welcome in Julien Laurent and Don Hutchison as well. Jules, advantage Arsenal then?
Yes, certainly so. I was very disappointed, I think, like everybody else, by Liverpool's performance. Okay, there's no Salah and there's no Mane, which is a huge blow and it makes a big difference. But still, no creativity, no imagination, no ideas, no rhythm. Even in the game, despite the very strong team put out by Jurgen Klopp, I thought he was very disappointed. They only had one shot on target, which was really late into the game. And yes, Minamino missed a big chance and blasted the ball over the bar right at the end. But apart from that, they didn't deserve anything from that game because Arsenal defended really well. Ben White was outstanding at the back with more blocks, more interceptions, more tackles than anybody else. And of course, when you go down to 10 men after 24 minutes, you have to defend deeper and you have to fight hard. But certainly the character and the spirit from this Arsenal team was very good tonight.
Arteta's got to be happy with that, Xhaka.
Absolutely, without a question of a doubt, especially given the sending off of Granit Xhaka, as Jules mentioned. Going to Anfield, regardless of the players missing because of the Africa Cup of Nations, is a daunting task for anyone. Then you have a player sent off after 24 minutes. And this was not by any means a back-to-the-wall defensive display or only defensive display by Arsenal through to the 90 minutes. Arsenal themselves had a couple of very good opportunities where they could have taken all 3 points. They could have gotten the win going into the second leg, and maybe feel a little bit hard done by in that regard. But you come away from that with a 0-0. Granit Xhaka would have taken that after 25 minutes. He's happy to take it after 90, despite those missed opportunities. And as Jules pointed out, despite the omissions from Liverpool, this was far stronger a starting lineup than I expected, and one that created far fewer opportunities than any other 11 that Jurgen Klopp could have put out there. At this point, he's probably questioning why didn't he just put out the kids again? Because it really was that poor from Liverpool.
Do you know what I'm hearing is that Don Hutchison is not happy with Arsenal. Is that right, Don?
What? They were incredible. They were unbelievable. I mean, I thought Ben White, as Jules said, I mean, he was absolutely shattered in his interview after the game. I thought Lacazette was outstanding. To be honest, you can go through every single one of them. Ben White was incredible. Ben White was superb. He put his body on the line. He organised everyone. He was communicating well. He was putting blocks on. He was organising the midfield in front of him. Lacazette, as I said, he was working like a trooper at the top end of the pitch, showing all of his experience. It's one of them where Liverpool have been here before, haven't they? When Chelsea were down to 10 men in the league, when Reece James got sent off, and Jurgen Klopp talked about it after the game tonight. He said, we're struggling against teams with a low block, and Arsenal tonight were extra low, because that's what happens, especially when you're away at Anfield, where they've been tonked fours and fives over the years. And the more the game went on, the more Arsenal sort of grew in confidence. They grew in stature. They had the belief. I think Liverpool didn't play well at all. I thought Jurgen Klopp went with a very workmanlike midfield in James Milner, Henderson and Fabinho. And I thought, once Arsenal went down to 10, it was crying out for Curtis Jones to come on at half-time. And that was the only gripe, I think, a little bit. I think Liverpool fans tonight are a little bit frustrated that Jurgen Klopp didn't make his substitutions a little bit earlier.
Jurgen Klopp had talked, Jules, about how losing the home advantage in the second leg could be a big problem. It kind of looks that way now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, certainly. I think now that we've changed the way the game, the first leg and second legs, would happen because of the outbreak of COVID in the Liverpool squad at the time of the first leg and all the postponement and everything. Arsenal will have to feel like they're favourite at home at the Emirates in the second leg in a week time to go and qualify for the final and meet Chelsea. It won't be easy, of course, and they will have to stay with 11 men on the pitch. But certainly you feel like the resilience that they showed today and that spirit that really we have to give Mikel Arteta credit for, because this is his own making. He's built that team spirit and that mindset and that resilience altogether that they didn't have 2 or 3 years earlier, to be fair. And now they're going to go with a lot of confidence first to the derby on Sunday. And if that goes well too, then with a lot of momentum as well for the second leg next week.
And he makes a good point, Jules, there as well, obviously, because we know they were coming into it after a not-so-great performance in the FA Cup against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, and listen, this was a performance that you can really rally around and feel good about, especially given the games to come. But at the same time, you recognise that you can't get overly carried away with it. We are talking about Liverpool. We are talking about one of the best footballing teams in world football, despite the omissions. You are going to be at home and have to play a little bit more on the front foot, which Liverpool prefers. So while Arsenal are favourites, let's not get carried away, or let's hope that they aren't getting carried away, thinking that it's job done here and you just have to take care of business at home. Nothing could be further from the truth. But, and I'll say this again, about this Arsenal team, about Arteta and how they progressed, given some of the early season criticisms that they had to endure, what you've seen from Arsenal over recent weeks, and this game highlights it, it shows how far they've come. It shows with how much more confidence they can play, and that on their day, they're a match for any of the big boys in not just the Premier League, but dare I say, world football. Now, I'm the one who's getting a little bit carried away. But again, just given where we were with them, it's great to see Arsenal back and at least putting in these kinds of performances, because these have been missing for the last 3 or 4 years.
Don, for you, at the end of the season, where they're standing in the top 4 race right now?
Arsenal, I think they've got every chance. I disagree with them being favourites in the second leg because they lost Cedric tonight. They lost, obviously, Granit Xhaka to suspension. They've got no midfield whatsoever. A lot of their best players away to the AFCON. So I looked at the effort that they put in tonight, which was a massive shift for them. They come off, as I said, shattered. Then they go into a London derby. Can they raise themselves for the Liverpool game? But in terms of top 4, I think they've got every chance. I think the spirit that Xhaka's talking about, I can see it. I can see what Jules is saying with Mikel Arteta. He had a horrendous start to the season and he was getting laughed out of town a little bit, struggling towards the bottom end of the league, close to the bottom 3. And then they've found it. The players have listened to the manager. They've stuck with him. They've found resilience. They've found confidence. I want to see it against the big sides, and I've seen it against Man City last week, even though they lost the game. But I've seen it against City now, and I've seen it against Liverpool. That tells me Arsenal are close to being back.
I want a yes or no from you, Don.
Top 4? No.
Oh, anyone disagree with Don? Jules?
I think they'll finish 4th.
Okay. Jules is an Arsenal fan, though.
I know, but still, but then maybe biased, but maybe sometimes you could be more pessimistic when it's your side.
Speaking as a Borough fan, you mean? I'm going to say, right now, yes, Arsenal are favourites to finish top 4. I think it's between them and Spurs, and we just see how much more improving Spurs does under Antonio Conte. I don't see Manchester United coming into that picture. And despite West Ham currently being in 4th, I just feel, especially given the injuries that they're having to endure between now and the end of the season, they eventually drop out.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.